All righty. Good evening, everybody. Don't make me use this. uh, I will call us to order. Normally, we're not so formal. I'm sure that for this called meeting, with nobody here. Not the honor, nobody. But, let's go ahead and begin tonight. Councilor Sullivan isn't here, so I will lead us in an invocation and pledge allegiance. So if you will please stand. Excuse me. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time gathered here together tonight as leaders of your city. We thank you for the talents that you have given each of us to be able to serve the people. We ask that you would give us wisdom in doing the city's business. We ask all these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We have a brief meeting tonight, called meeting. I appreciate y'all coming in on relatively short notice to get all this done, but we have just a few items tonight. Come on in and join us. We've just began. We just have a few items tonight, finishing up some old business and one item of new business, and then I want to take just a moment to meet in executive session to discuss a property matter with all of you. So if you would, I would entertain a motion at this time to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any opposition? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. All right. Consent agenda is approved. Thank you, Council. Moving on to old business. We'll begin with a second reading of Ordinance 12-21-01 to Annex 914 East Main Street into the city lines. Everybody have that in front of you? If you'll recall, this is a 100% annexation petition by the owners of the property that used to be Gwynn's Siding. It's along East Main Street, and they are asking to bring that into the city and to have that zoned B4 for use of a commercial restaurant. So at this time,
Well, I'll make a motion to have for a second.
thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I had a question.
If you give me a second, I'll let you ask.
Okay.
We have a second. All right. Motion and a second. Counselor, what is your question?
Okay. This is our second reading. So the first reading was at a regular call meeting, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So I just got a question. Just want to make sure that I understand the procedure correctly before it is approved. Under my understanding, is this the first ordinance reading was when Attorney Thompson was absent? Did you read that ordinance in his absence to be approved?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get an understanding of if it is lawful for the mayor to act as a attorney as well, city attorney. Is that a dual position?
There would be an issue if the Mayor were acting in dual agency as the city attorney, but the presentation of ordinances at a council meeting is not a function that is reserved for the city attorney. So there's no issue there.
Okay, because the reason I ask is, okay, so is it only a reading that can be presented by the mayor? Can a council member propose an ordinance?
I don't see any reason why a council member couldn't present a proposed ordinance to the rest of the council. That may be a question.
Well, I think if the council member were interested in doing that, they would contact possibly the city manager, who would contact me, and we would, I don't see why we would not prepare a proposed ordinance. And then it would be just like any other ordinance, it would be subject to being passed or not passed.
Okay, because I'm just trying to understand in section 5 where it states that the this under South Carolina municipality laws, which is governed by South Carolina code laws, and it states that the city attorney is supposed to read the ordinances, right? And so that's why I'm asking questions about it. And then it also states that the mayor, it'll serve as a conflict of interest if the mayor present an ordinance and we have a city attorney and the council have not set procedure in place where we utilize someone else in place of the city attorney. So that's where the confusion, I'm confused about.
Counselor, I think you have a misunderstanding of the ordinance, and I don't have it here in front of me. It would be out of order in this discussion, though, because what you're attempting to address apparently is some concern over whether or not I was acting in some capacity as city attorney.
Right.
And I am not.
Okay.
But I mean, our ordinances are prepared by Mr. Thompson. My role as chairman in presenting the ordinance does not violate that, and it's my understanding from speaking to Mr. Thompson in the past that there was a time where the city attorney didn't even attend city council meetings, so it would have been the custom of the mayor at that time to present that. So that simply presenting to council as chairman of this body what the ordinance is about is not acting in the role of the city attorney.
So what is the purpose of the city attorney by law?
That is a fine question for debate, and I'm happy to have it, but it is not germane to the question before us as to whether or not to pass this on second reading.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable passing it because I don't thoroughly understand it. Basically, by the South Carolina code laws, it's saying that we don't supposed to lawfully pass a reading without the attorney being present unless we have went through a parliament procedure where we placed a secondary personnel in place. So council can, the remaining council can, but I don't. I want some clarification on that.
Respectfully, Counselor, I just think that you're wrong on the law.
And I respect what you're saying, but you said you don't have it in front of you, so I just wanted.
Yes, ma'am.
This ordinance was prepared by Attorney Thompson. And we had the first reading. You've been presiding officer, read the ordinance, but it was prepared by him, so he wasn't here to present it. So it's his place as presider to present it to the council for the first reading.
I'm just going by what I read. It
Okay.
said that he's not the one presenting it. That's all. I'm confused about that.
Counselor, I'm not aware of any state statute, and if you can cite it to me and give me a code section number, I'd be happy to look it up. But I'm not aware of any state statute that designates who at a city council meeting is the one that is supposed to present the subject of the ordinance to the body. And I think it is appropriately my job as chairman of this body.
I'm just, sir, I'm not I'm just asking questions because I wanna make sure that I'm voting on something that I'm clear about. What I'm reading right here, the city town attorney shall attend all meetings of council unless executed by council. The attorney shall act as a parliamentarian, propose ordinances and resolutions, review all ordinances, resolutions, and documents presented to council, and give opinions on questions, procedure, form, and law to members of council. That's all. I'm just
That,
asking a question.
that's correct. So this was prepared by the city attorney. He presented it to me. I've explained the subject of the ordinance at our last meeting. There were no questions for the city attorney about the legality of the matter at the last meeting that needed to be addressed. It was passed unanimously, as I recall.
Yes, I voted on it as well. I'm just
And,
asking.
and so what we're talking about here is really a question of parliamentary procedure, not whether or not this ordinance should be passed or not, which is the question before us, and the only question before us.
No, sir. I was just asking before we moved it to second if we was lawfully in the correct position to do so if he wasn't present on the first reading. That's my question.
City attorneys are human too, and at times they're not present at all meetings.
I didn't impose that he wasn't here. I was just asking a question about the procedure. That's all.
Do you have your questions been resolved?
No,
Okay. What questions do you have?
that's it. The question is before you. That's it. The question that I just stated.
The state statute that you cited
Yes, sir.
made no specific requirement that the mayor, as chairman of city council, not be the one who presents the statute on first, or excuse me, the ordinance to city council. I'm not acting in a legal capacity because I wasn't offering legal advice to council. I wasn't explaining the legal ramifications to council. I was simply reading the ordinance, which was prepared by our city attorney.
I just asked.
And what I'm trying to get across is, has your question been sufficiently answered so that we can move forward?
And you put enough information where I can continue this. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any further questions, or is there any further discussion regarding Ordinance 12-21-01?
Mayor, I don't have any questions, it's just to clarify, I know that Starbucks is building there, and I heard today that one reason that they're coming and going there is because they go closing one down in Ingalls because Ingalls is losing that space.
I'm not aware of that.
Well, I mean, that's just something that I had heard that Ingalls, because they needed that floor space where Starbucks is now. And so I guess that's the reason they chose the site. I mean, I don't know that, that's just something that I heard really just this afternoon.
I heard it was a place going, it started with a W and second word was a started with an H. So,
I don't
that's
want
not right
to.
either.
I don't want to jump the gun on anybody else's announcement because really the only thing before us
Anyway.
procedurally, if I can keep us on track here, is whether or not to bring this property into the city of Lawrence or not on second reading.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion about whether or not bringing this property into the city or not?
I
Yes,
thought
ma'am.
it was already where it's located, but I guess it's right on the line.
Yeah, there's sort of a donut hole.
Oh.
Pizza Hut's a donut.
Mm-hmm.
Pizza Hut's not the same.
But it's right directly across the street from it's just across the road, and I think you can jump across the road. Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
All right. So do we,
What would it be?
Just put some mayonnaise in between.
council? Well, I'd like to we'll keep things moving along. Do we have any further Questions about annexation? All right, hearing none, I call the question. All those in favor of passage of ordinance 12-21-01 on second reading, please indicate saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. And the matter is approved unanimously. Thank you, council. All right. Moving on to the second item of old business, we have second reading of ordinance 12-21-02, which amends an ordinance we passed last year regarding sale of property to SK Builders. Are there any motions concerning that?
Make a motion we pass ordinance 12-21-02 on second reading.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Questions? Request for legal advice?
How much more money are we getting?
No legal advice, sir.
Didn't we get something? This does.
The,
We get a little more cash out of it.
yes. An additional 150,000. All right. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? I call the question. All those in favor of passage 12-21-02 on second reading, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. And that measure is passed unanimously. Thank you. And that will allow us to proceed with our closing. All right. Moving along in our agenda, we have new business. We have ordinance 1-22-01, which is an ordinance to amend the zoning of the property we have agreed to exchange with Dominic Motors. Are there any motions concerning that ordinance?
I'll make a motion that we accept ordinance -1-22-01 on first reading.
Thank you, Counselor. Is there a second?
I'll say.
We have motion in a couple seconds. Is there any discussion?
I think I asked this question before and asked it again, because, you've been meeting with them. Is this something that he really agreed to do on his own free will?
Absolutely. This is being done to sort of finalize the process that we began when we passed the ordinance for the exchange of land. The property is currently zoned R3, but it adjoins a property that is B4, and to allow for his business to locate there, there just needs to be a zoning classification. So it's just sort of tying up a legal loose end to make sure that it is consistent with the property that it's directly next to.
So to be precise as to exactly where it is right across in front of Aldi, is that the problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you hear one thing, but I want to hear clarity for real.
We've wanted to move ahead with the closing on that, but in order to proceed with that closing, we want to have all our legal I's dotted and crossed, and so having the zoning finalized will allow that.
So you think so? Okay.
Any further discussion?
My understanding, this came through planning.
I believe that's correct. Our city administrator was at that meeting this morning. Would you like to elaborate? All right. Any further discussion or need for any clarification about the ordinance? All righty. I'll call the question then. All those in favor of passage of ordinance 1-22-01 on first reading, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed, no.
No.
And the measure is passed. All right. That takes us to the end of our new business. And at this time, I'd entertain a motion to enter executive session, subject to recall by the chair. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of entering executive session, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. We will excuse everybody who shouldn't be here. If you would, please.